We hope you all loved that trailer and that it's made you excited for what we have in store tonight. It is now time to introduce our guests for tonight. I'm going to bring them on and have them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about them. Please welcome to the stream, Carsten, Christian, Alex, Tabea, and Lucas. Carsten, can we start with you with the introductions?
Hi, I'm Carsten Aust. I'm originally from Germany. But I'm a missionary in the Philippines for almost 30 years. And I am actually, one of the persons that shares his story in the film Testify. And how could I describe this film? I guess I would probably say it's a story that resonates hope or wants to speak about hope. It's a story that shares people's lives and how their lives were changed, and the story that there is hope because God provides an opportunity for changed lives, and hope makes itself possible because people are investing their lives into others and give an opportunity for people actually to catch hope because they see the love of God being visible in their lives because other people make themselves available for them. And I would say that's kind of really a powerful story that goes through the individual stories that we hear in that film. That's probably how I would capture the film, although there has probably many other parts that would probably speak out as well. But hope, I guess, is one of the things that speaks very loudly for people often that would feel hopeless and full of despair. But I think that's the story that probably comes through because hope is made possible in their lives because other people invest themselves into their lives, and God's love has been made visible through the care of others.
Hi, my name is Chris. I'm from Cologne, Germany. I'm married to my amazing wife, Natanja, and I'm the producer of Testify. If I had to capture the spirit of this film in one word or one phrase from each culture, Germany and the Philippines, it would be go on the water, don't look back, and try to dance on the waves. It's not one word, but actually it reflects a little bit the heart of what's happening in the Philippines with a non-profit Vision Help from Carsten and our first film of Testify.
Yes. Hey, I'm Alex. I'm the director of Testify, A Vision to Die For. I'm married. I have 3 kids, and if I have to put the spirit of the film into words, I would use like longing for meaning and love. So for me, the spirit of the film is between the longing for meaning and the love that turns that longing into something real.
Hi, my name is Tabea. I'm based in Munich, and I worked as a project consultant and production assistant on this film, and it's difficult to capture the film in a few words, but I think love in action is what really makes it for me. We saw love in action not only like everywhere on the set and also around the set, so in the team, and that's how I would summarize it.
That's awesome.
Hey, I'm Lucas. I'm from Germany. I'm the creative producer of Testify, and I'm also married. I have 3 kids, and for me, to sum up this film is actually what Tabea just said. It's about faith, and for me, also the meaning of faith is love in action. But since she already said that, I will say that for me, this film is about someone who you might not know yet, but he changed his world or the place where he lives upside down, and that what inspired me and hopefully also you.
That's amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We're so excited to speak with you about this film and your experiences. Carsten, I'd love to just start with you and a little bit about your story. Can you share more about the moment you experienced that divine vision and how you decided to act on it? You mentioned it in the film and sort of stated that you first visited Manila at 17. Can you just kind of tell us a little more about that?
Yeah. yeah, I mean, exactly. Just like what you said, it was really a divine moment for me. I mean, I was just a young man. I was just 16 at that particular moment. Myself, very still young in my own journey with God, and of course, coming from a Christian family, of course, this has been a profound. I was on a profound crossroad at that particular moment, deciding the journey of my life. And I wanted to serve God. It was something deep in my heart. I wanted to serve God. I had a longing, deep longing to do something meaningful in my life. I wanted to know what's God's journey and the story for me. And as truly as I was praying, and at that moment, at that middle of the night, it was really literally at the middle of the night, sitting in the kitchen praying, really having this encounter with God. It's hard to describe. How do you describe the voice of God? It's something, yes, audible, but not also audible at the same time. How do you describe it? I don't really know how to describe it. I just knew that God had spoken to me to become a missionary, to go to the Philippines and to care for orphans. And the acting on actually was afterwards a process. I knew God had spoken to me, but then of course it needed this journey of confirmation. Other people came and spoke into my life and encouraged me to hold on to this calling. And I began to research, and I began to begin reading and really taking time to discover about Manila, about Smoky Mountain. That's what I heard in my call to go to a place called Smoky Mountain. I'd never heard of that place. I've never even heard of Manila before.
Wow.
In fact, I've never heard of the Philippines in my life. At that moment, it was just something completely new. I had to get the map, look it up, and say, where in the world is the Philippines, and where is Manila, and where is Smoky Mountain? I have no idea. And then I began researching, and I said, oh, okay, that's this garbage dump, one of the largest in Asia. And I began to read, and I found out that there are thousands of people living there. And then I said, I got to see that. And so, of course, I took a step of faith as a young man, bought a ticket, flew to the Philippines for just a few weeks to actually see the place. And so I hooked up with an organization called Youth with a Mission, another organization that was there. They had a little guest house. I went there. I asked them if I could stay there for a couple of days, and just really went there and literally walked the ground myself and saw that. And it just can't really describe it. It just, I'd never been in a place like this. It just completely blew my mind. I had not known that people can live like that. And seeing all these children in the middle of the garbage, and it burned. These images just burned themselves into my memory. And I knew God had called me to this place. So, and then the year after I went again, and the year after I went again, and the year after I went again, because I was young, right? My call was 16. I ended up going when I was 20. So there were still 4 years that I still had to take. And, but it really was something that God was keep on doing and preparing me for. Eventually then, till it actually happened that I, when I was 20, bought a ticket, a one-way ticket, said goodbye at home, and packed a suitcase, had a couple hundred Deutschmark at that time, and just flew to Manila, not really knowing what am I going to do. I just knew that God had asked me to be here, and I'd seen the place, and I knew this is where I need to be, not really knowing where to start, how to start, but it was really stepping out in faith, walking in water, and believing and trusting God that He will lead me one step at a time. For people from the outside hearing that, it's kind of, kind of crazy and stupid. It probably was, and to some extent, a little bit crazy and stupid, but it was God, right? God calling us to something amazing. Yeah. And I guess that's what kind of God does at times, really stretching our horizon and testing our faith. And that's what I did.
Wow. That takes such courage to act on a prompting like that. And I mean, you've changed so many lives because of that one decision. So that's amazing. Did you ever think that, your story would become a film? I'd love to know maybe a little bit about you didn't.
Never, of course, never in my wildest dreams would I have ever thought anybody would come and share my story. I mean, of course, I do travel, go to speak to people and speak to churches and organizations and share my story that way. Because we live by faith. The entire organization lives by faith, right? We need to raise support. We need to raise funds. We always need partners to come on board to support our organization, and that's what I do for the last 30 years. But I've never ever thought that the whole film would be made and that will go around the world and be shown and people could hear my story. That's just I was really surprised when actually Christian called me. I had never met him before, and he called me and said, "Hey, we would, like to make your story known." And I said, "Really? Somebody want to watch that? I'm really interested to see that." And looking back, having seen the film, it's just amazing. Even me, I don't know how many times I saw it because it's encouraging myself. Just seeing what God is doing, it's just amazing. It's just it's sheer amazing.
Wow. Christian, what was it about Carsten's story that made you feel like it needed to be brought to the screen? Or how did you hear about it? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. I mean, Carsten already said it, right? And I think we had a call where he shared what he just said as well. And I had a call first. He has a pretty good online web page where you can find everything. So at least a lot of non-profits, for them, he's a good example or role model also in that case. So it's not difficult to get information about him. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And but the journey is quite a few years. It began about 4 years ago when I was looking for people who had an extraordinary life story and are doing an eternal impact here on planet Earth. And Carsten really stood out with his work and his work on the Philippines. His honesty and the depth of his long-term commitment really was special to me. And last year, Alex and me had a few video calls with him, and I think we both quickly realized that this is someone who's not only talking but about justice, but really is living it, right? I think you can feel it through your window, through your laptop window or screen while you're listening to Carsten. He's such a powerful and engaging, emotional guy, and I really love that about him, and that makes us easy for us to retell his story, his life journey with God and with all the obstacles in his way, and never giving up. And it's so impactful and so inspirational also for us filmmakers, because I think it doesn't matter what your calling is, but to see someone who's 30 years in a row on the same mission, it's so inspirational and helps to share problems, solutions, and things to continue, right? So for me and Alex, I mean, that was a pretty easy job to start with him.
Yeah. Alexander, as the director, how did you balance the personal, spiritual, and cultural elements of the story?
Yeah, good question. I mean, there are many different layers within that film, and I mean, for me, it was just very important to tell an honest story with all ups and downs, because when I engage in the story, there, especially when you see what Carsten is doing and how many people are affected, you see, sometimes you think this just, everything is so positive, but I think, there are always ups and downs, and so that's why it was so important for me to really get close to Carsten. And I'm very happy that you opened not just your home but also your heart, Carsten. And
I mean, we had 2 or 3 2 to 5 hour interviews. So that was lots of talking, but also lots of getting to know him. But then it was also very important to listen to the people around him. And spiritually, I didn't want to impose or over-explain, because as when you hear Carsten talk, I think Carsten's faith is so deeply rooted and so alive. So I want to let that speak for itself and through how he acts. And culturally, we tried to be very conscious that this is a story set in the Philippines, not through a Western lens. And at the same time, there are 2 cultures coming together, the German culture and the Philippine culture, which are very different. But in general, I was reminded that storytelling isn't just about documenting a life, Carsten's life. It's also about being transformed by the lives we encounter, all the side stories we had as well. And I think this is one of the great gifts of this project as well, of this film as well, that you have Carsten's life and you have the ups and downs, and he's willing to share, the struggles he's going through on this journey he's in with God. But seeing his faith and seeing how he's willing to come and to serve a totally different culture, that really, that amazes me. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I love to hear that you can just tell that there was so much care put into the making of this film. And I think that shows for the viewer. Again, I'm the third party viewer, but I felt all of that through this. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Carsten, and also, I think
Christian,
this is a good point to just we have Mace not on board. It was our DOP, but as you said, you feel what how much heart is in the storytelling and also in the visuals. Mace, our DOP, did also a really great job. So if you see that, feel hugged.
Yes.
Yeah, and let me add one note. I think we really thought about where and how can we show Carsten and his his surrounding. And he opened, as I said, he opened his home for us. His daughter Leonie was just willing to be with us and just taking the time with us, spending time with us, not just in the in the NGO setting where Carsten is alive and he's doing stuff all the time and is being busy, but also in those moments in between where he's sitting on his kitchen table with his daughter, just having lunch, just those moments where you can get close to him and have the raw impression of how this life is, behind being the in front of the people and guiding and leading this organization. So this was really, that's really important for making a documentary, to get close to the people, to the protagonists. And I'm very grateful that Carsten let that happen, because this, I think, without that, you would miss this personal touch and this, that really engaging spirit that a film has.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to ask Lucas, how did you use the visuals of Manila to capture the depth and reality of Carsten's experience?
Well, for us, it was really amazing to be on the ground in Manila, walking the streets with Carsten. And Manila is full of contrasts. You see desperation, you see poverty, and at the same time, you see so much kindness, the way people interact. You see a lot of beauty, and even in the midst of a lot of trouble. And we try to find a way to show that intimacy that people and tenderness that people had towards us as we were making the film. Through the visuals, we try to capture the beauty and at the same time the challenges that people have. And for us as filmmakers, it's always about, especially in documentary, it's always about giving dignity. The way you portray people, that you show them on eye level, that you're not looking down on them, that you're not trying to explain to them how the world functions, but to rather immerse yourself in their environment, try to see the world through their eyes. And that's what we try to also show visually.
Oh. Well, I think you did a beautiful job at that. I'd love to hear from you and Tabia. What were some of the challenges and responsibilities of ensuring that cultural authenticity in the production, and whether it was visually or otherwise?
I think one of the biggest challenges was really to make sure that we told the story in the way that truly reflected the reality of life in Manila, be it in the slums, on Smoky Mountain, or in the facilities of Vision Help, without just imposing our perspective. And I really think we wanted to show the heart, the resilience of the people, and the impact of God at work through Carsten and his team. And at the same time, we had this to navigate the whole emotional weight of the stories being told. And I think one of the biggest challenges really was the two main characters they had some incredibly difficult experiences. They went through abandonment, they went through abuse, and my role was a little bit to help them feel supported during the process and giving them space when needed. And really giving the history of abuse and abandonment, it was to us super crucial to just create a safe environment where they felt like they can tell their story. So it's maybe not so much about cultural authenticity, but it was really about this showing them a deep respect and having them feel that we don't want to just document something. We want to step into the story and also about their openness to share that.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's amazing that you were able to help cultivate that safe space for them to feel comfortable sharing. So I think it came across that they felt very comfortable. So that's wonderful. Carsten, what was it like for you kind of revisiting your story, both the past and the present, and did that deepen your understanding of that divine calling you were given?
Yes, I actually did, because it brings you back into the different stories of your own journey, right? You have these different chapters in your life being shown, and so you're being taken back to those moments and those memories, and by actually looking back in retrospect, when you look at it, you really see and sense the goodness and the greatness of God all right in front of you. I mean, never had I ever thought in my life to see or to imagine what God would do through the years. I had visions and dreams in terms of wanting to make a difference in the lives of children, but how that would unfold, I really didn't know. I didn't go to the Philippines with a set plan and trying to fulfill that plan. I was just really literally going one step at a time, allowing God to take me wherever He wanted me to be, one step at a time, and looking back to see where we started back in Smoky Mountain, working among the kids. And at that time, we were just feeding kids. We didn't take them in. We just fed them. We washed them. We clothed them. We were just there. We cried with them. We provided a little bit help that we had. But then over the years, to see how God increased the ability of us being able to make a much larger difference in their lives, combined with all of the miracles that really you see unfolding right in front of your eyes, because it is a complete mission by faith. We have until today, we don't have any corporate support or no government support or whatever. Everything is by faith. And you step out and you do things that seem completely impossible. Then you stand there and look back and you say, this is crazy. How does this even happen? How do you get from there to where we are today? And all the people today that are part of Vision Help, the many staff we have, and the volunteers from all around the world, and people who are coming and coming alongside and partnering with us. It was just amazing to actually revisit these little steps because it's so tied to steps of faith. It's so tied to the impossible. Every time when you're beginning something, it seems impossible. So you have to make a choice, to not do it, or to believe that God can do something impossible through your steps of faith, by going on water, but by believing, by trusting God. And this is really what each of those steps portrays. Every journey is a step of faith and a miracle in the making. And alongside the greatest miracle is that lives are completely changed. That was just very, very powerful for me to go and to see that and revisit that. It literally gives you goosebumps just to see that. And it's like, man, how did this happen? I don't know. I don't really know how. And people ask me, how did you do it? I have no idea. I just happened. And it really brings, going through these journeys, it brings God in the forefront. And that's really what I hope this film really will always end up doing, portraying the greatness of God. And it will portray God's ability in the face of the impossible. Because I really think that 30 years of vision health, it's impossible with man, but it's possible with God. And I think that's kind of what I've reflected as I was going through this film.
Oh, that's incredible. I just hearing about, obviously the film's about your experience, but then getting to kind of talk to you today and dive deeper into even how creating this film and you being involved and how that has impacted you is really powerful, because it's going to impact everybody that sees it too. And I think the messages that you're sharing about, just one step at a time with, faith.
Absolutely.
I think that's going to be really powerful for people, and something that they'll definitely take away from this film.
And I think the thing is, I'm a very insignificant, ordinary person. And I think that is what probably thousands of people maybe feel themselves. We're just ordinary, normal people in this world. We wake up in the morning. We're nothing really special. We're not extraordinary. We're just ordinary people. And yet God uses ordinary people to do extraordinary things.
Yeah.
And that's so amazing, that if he can do it with me, he can do it with all of us, because all of our journeys is different, but we all have to make a difference in our life. And if people catch that, God can do something extraordinary with ordinary people, then I think the film really hit exactly the goal that it was intended for.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So now that we've talked a little bit about, the beginnings of the film and how you guys all kind of came together to create this, I'd love to talk a little bit about some of the experiences and just highlights from filming while in Manila. What was it like working with those local communities and capturing the real life environments where Carsten's story and ongoing story took place? Christian, can we start with you?
Sure. I think filming on the Philippines was a new, but also unforgettable experience. But first of all, I think the people there are truly the kindest people I've met, and it was such a joy working with them and being welcomed in their communities with open arms. That was pretty cool for us, and makes life easy. A second, capturing Carsten's story in his real life environment was powerful, but also challenging, because distances are short, but traffic is intense.
Really?
There was. We didn't expect that. Carsten said it a little, warned us a little bit about it. But what should take 20 minutes by car can easily take 2 hours.
Whoa.
This opens up another opportunity for us in the car to discuss anything about the films, pray together or with the taxi driver. And So at the end, it was also a meaningful time we had in the getting from A to B. But that was something. I think Carsten said also that it's the worst traffic on Earth, probably out of the first top 5. I don't know. So if you go ever to the Philippines and you have a plan, extend it with more time. So, but we had it. We had enough time. I mean, we had
Waze. Waze. We probably all know the application Waze, and Waze itself made that statement that based on their data, Philippine traffic is indeed the worst in the world. I mean, that was a statement that they made in 2015, which is kind of amazing. So it actually comes from Waze, from that traffic app. So I don't know if that's true.
I think it's true. I think if you ask us as a team, it is true. And you can't rely on the system, Google, Waze, whatever, because I think they can't count all the cars in the front of you,
Whoa.
But we made it, So we had 4 weeks at the end, and that was more than enough. So
wow.
Yeah, even that traffic couldn't stop us.
That's amazing. Any other thoughts from anybody else on filming?
Yeah, I think when you do the storyboard in advance and you go through all those pictures we received, and you have this set up in your mind or in my mind, say this is how we're going to do it. And of course, when you do documentaries, it's especially when you do them in a third world country, it's always different. So you always have to be flexible. The traffic came to my mind as well. But what I really loved is that and we have that in the film as well. This one woman says that how Vision Help is building up their facilities and how clean they are, how well made, how child friendly, how detail cared they are. That really that stands out for me. Because it's just everything is made with love, and you really can see that. And it's not just the facilities; it's also all the people who work there with Carsten. They're so friendly, and the hospitality is so it's just heartbreaking to see that those little kids are coming in from such cruel backgrounds, off the streets with so many load on their back, and then they come in this super different, friendly, nice, green, tidied up environment, and then they have the space to really, start a new life and really see that and experience that and hear the stories. That's really special for me. And of course also the traffic. And I remember one situation where we did an interview, Christian and me, and it was planned that it takes us an hour. It took us 5 hours to get back. And it was pouring cats and dogs, but we used it. I mean, we just used the time and filmed, rain in Manila. And so I think this is always, when you're out in the streets or out in the field doing documentary work, you just have to be flexible and adapt to every circumstance that changes.
And Alex was pretty flexible on that, because that day our DOP was ill, and he made all the shots with the rainy cars, and the slow motion. Just, I don't know, he has a built-in tripod something to made it possible. But be flexible on these journeys as a filmmaker is part of the adventure. And then Alex did a really great job, and that's, for example, why we don't use to go on action holidays or something, because it's part of our job. If my wife asked me, what should we do for holiday? I said, let me go on the beach and pick me up in 2 weeks. I don't need any program because of this. But that was quite a good day.
Wow.
I also think they, like the welcome, how they embraced us is like, it was like being a family after a couple of days. So we got there and we got to know the people, and it wasn't like there's a film team and we do our thing. It was, we were so immersed and integrated, getting to know everybody. And it was just really from both sides. It wasn't anything artificial. It felt true. And I also remember when we went to the slums with Carsten, I think the whole organization and the people he works with, they have gained such a deep respect and affection from the whole community, and you could feel that. And going through the slums is maybe not super safe, but with Carsten being there, I felt safe. I felt super safe. Yeah.
Oh.
And so that's really something where you could see they really respect that work. And also we went, I think in the movie, in the documentary, you see the graduation of the small children when they finished kindergarten, and just seeing how proud the parents were to come and to celebrate and to be there, and how they really made themselves look super nice, and you could see that they invested because it was such an important day for them. And yeah, I just think it's a lot of respect in the whole community, and I felt it was wherever we were, we felt really welcome. It was, and that was through Carsten. I think if he would have went in with just us, it would have been a totally different story. But with Carsten and the team, yeah, made all the difference.
Oh, that's awesome. Carsten, were there any moments, with them coming in to film here and experiencing this for the first time, were there any memories or moments that came back to you from your first experiences in Manila?
Well, I guess going back with them to Smoky Mountain, with them beginning filming the story there, this is really where I started back in 1996.
Yeah.
So that really was the first, that was my first step out right there, meeting the community and going back with them back to Smoky Mountain and beginning filming there and telling the story. Of course, it looked very different today. Compared to how it looked at that time. Walking around with them and sharing the story while walking through a kind of very different environment today. It's still horrible, it's still bad, it's still terrible slums and lots of crime and a dangerous place, and yet it has changed still from then to today. But walking through and sharing the story really brought back memories on how it was. And in fact, the little film that Christian put in, where you actually see the garbage dump and the truck actually going in and unloading, and the kids are running and going through and sifting through the garbage. That's exactly how it was when I was starting back in 1996. And so that really brought memories, because I was right there in the middle of the garbage, and I was, as I was sharing and explaining to them, I kind of said to myself, "Oh, this is how it looked like before, and I was in this place, and how different it is today compared to then." So it did bring really live memories back to how I started back at that time. Wow. The smell hasn't changed. The smell is just the same. Oh no, the environment changed, but the smell is still pretty much the same.
Lucas and Christian, how did the culture of the Philippines influence the visual storytelling of the film? Either one of you can start with the answer.
Thanks first, Tabia. I mean, it was so great to have her on board as a woman. So the rest of us were all boys, and this sensitive topics. It was great to have her. That was great. And I think regarding the visuals, I mean, for us, places create trust. And that's why our concept wasn't just to record the testimony of someone sitting on a chair, but to visually show the world he is actually living in, to see and feel the life, the beauty, but also the brokenness of the surrounding. And from the House of Hope to the Village of Hope, and even the quiet places where Carsten retreats, we were able to retell his story of transformation and allowing to bring the audience as close as possible to his story. That's why it's so important to use pictures from Manila and to combine it with the story from Carsten. And I think that really made an impact on the quality of the images or the background of the story. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you guys? Oh, Lucas, did you have a thought?
Yeah, I mean, it's just about trying to show that resilient spirit also that people have in Manila, and so we tried again to show to give an intimate portrait of the people, and so we tried to show them in their environment. We didn't really build proper sets. Show where they live and how they live, and also to show the connection that Carsten has with them, which is very personal and warm, and at the same time, in a German way, also straightforward.
Yeah. You guys decide which stories you were going to highlight when it came to the different children?
Well, that's maybe a question for Alex as well.
Yeah.
We had just this short sentence. Carsten offered a lot of stories, right? And Alex and me were reviewing them, and then, well, Alex decided also, like, well, what's the most impactful thing actually to say? Okay, what's going on there that you can feel it through their story, through their testimonies. Well,
Yeah,
Alex, what you
exactly.
said, yeah.
And especially so with Carsten having a very strong story itself, and which we try to portray from early on until today. We thought, Carsten provided us with many different stories of children or young adults who came into the program, and so we read through their storylines, and then we met them when we were there, and we interviewed many. I mean, there are a few stories that aren't in the film now, but we thought, hey, what stories had the the biggest impact, and these are the stories we wanted to highlight, and that's why we chose those stories we have in the film now.
Wow.
It was also so important to have those stories to underline the impact Carsten is doing from another authentic perspective, so that the audience can relive it through the eyes of the young adults, pointing out on the impact Carsten has with his nonprofit, right?
Yeah.
I think even if I were to look at the different stories that we have, because we have many, over 100 children, almost 200 children today at our centers. Both of those are very similar to many kids that we have at our center. But I guess probably the most powerful thing is that here you have two young adults who kind of started with us when they were young and went through this entire process of having been picked up and then living their lives through their young journey, and then looking at their lives where they are today, and they look back to what was happening in their lives, but they also look ahead what is lying before them, and that kind of makes it so amazing, because it reflects so many kids that are at our center. But here you have stories of two people who really have almost come full circle, where they began as small children and now are almost ready to be released in light in society, having gone through lots of journeys themselves, having come to know Christ, having had an encounter with God, having been able to go through healing process, through all the pains and the suffering that they had to go through. And then today, not only that, but also go through educational journeys that are so important, that makes life livable, because how can you make life livable without education? And now having dreams, visions, looking to the things that God has prepared for them. So where they started, there was sheer hopelessness. And today they look forward full of hope, full of joy, full of excitement, where life suddenly begins to make sense and has a meaning for them. I think those two resonate perfectly, the journeys of the kids that we have. So I think that the choice of those kids are just perfect, I would say.
Yeah. That's so special. I thought, as a viewer, I felt that, like, it's just so powerful to see where they've come from, and seeing how far they've come. I think it's really impactful and incredible, and kind of gives you as a viewer hope and like an excitement for the rest of the children that are there. So I think that's really special. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, and I think it's very special that they could, or this young boy and this young girl, that now they can give back into the community what they learned and how they were impacted. They want to impact now. The children in need. So that's very, as Carsten said, a really beautiful full circle story.
I love that. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing that. Well, we do have to say goodbye to Lucas. He has other things he needs to get to, but it was so awesome having you on this call. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Bye.
Well, bye. Before we start to kind of wrap up our time together, I just want to remind those of you at home that you can watch Testify, A Vision to Die For on Angel today. And you can do that by going to angel.com/testifyguild. So go watch it. It's amazing. You're going to really love it. So now I have a really fun game that I would like to play with you guys. We call it Truth or Testify. So what we're going to do is each of you will pick a number from 1 to 10. And then based on the number you pick, I have a question, and it'll either fall under a truth category or a testify category. So Alexander, let's start with you. Pick a number 1 to 10.
I pick 7.
Okay. So that is going to be in the testify category. So your question is, share a moment. Okay. So it's share a moment when you felt the emotional or spiritual weight of Carsten's story.
So as a dad of 3 myself, there's this one story that is also in the film. And this is something that is not happening, as please correct me, Carsten, it's not happening every day, but it happens on a regular basis that they find newborns throwing away in the garbage. And Carsten tells that story, and how they find this little baby, and how they try to get in to get the baby into a hospital, but no hospital would take it because of whatever reasons. They just don't want to take it because it's from the streets, and they try their best, and it takes hours and hours, and they drive I don't know how many hours to a different hospital where they have connections, but once it's there, it's too late. So just because the doctors or the hospitals didn't respond early enough, out of whatever reasons, this little newborn baby died. And I think as I said before, you have those parts where you see Carsten, you see the changed kids, we hear those side stories in the film as well. But then you have those moments where you see that it's just the pain that is there in Manila, that is there every day with millions of people living in very challenging circumstances. That's real, and it's in the end it's we have this saying that it's this one small drop of water on a hot stone. So but at the same time it is this one important drop of water that you need to take care of, and this really, that really challenged me to really see that Carsten, he knows that he cannot help everybody, but he still has the power to go for the one, and it's not being tired, and still, and even if they're setbacks like that, he will continue and go out there again and again to look for those kids in need, and to see this big heart, and no matter what, that really touches me.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Tabia, can we have you pick a number 1 to 10?
Number 4.
Number 4. Okay, that will be under our truth section. Let's see. What is one of the most unexpected things that happened on set?
Unexpected. Maybe it wasn't completely unexpected, but it was the heat, the intense heat we were working in. So it was about 110 Fahrenheit. We were prepared that it was going to be hot, but I remember that one day where we filmed inside, and usually we would have a fan, but you all remember that, right? We didn't have a fan, we didn't have air conditioning, and we had to close the doors because outside they built something. And so we were drenched. I think there are some pictures of it, but I'm not sure if you want to show them. But we were completely soaked, and as a makeup person, we had to all the time put away the sweat on the face. So that was maybe unexpected. Although we could have known, but you kind of in a lot of other times we had air conditioning and we had fans, but sometimes we did not. And so, I think Carsten, he knows to kind of cope with the heat. He always looked clean and showered, and we all, we looked like a mess.
You were all like...
So he has, accustomed, I think. But, for us it was interesting sometimes.
Oh my goodness. Wow, that sounds so hot. Oh my goodness. Christian, will you pick a number 1 to 10?
Yeah, I would pick the number 10.
Okay, perfect. So you are also falling under the truth section. So let's do this question. If you could take one thing from the set as a souvenir, so take it with you, what would it be?
I think I would take the tripod from Alex because he brought a really cool one with self-extending legs, super practical and quick to set up. And I remember thinking, if I ever invest in new technique or equipment, that's the one I will get.
That's awesome. I feel like I need to see if there's a picture of this cool thing. We need to put it up so I can see it.
If you want a good picture, I need to add to Tabia's answer or question, because I don't know why, but she was in kind of every role we had there. And there's this nice picture. I don't know why, but she became the sound woman. So she has all this equipment, around her, tangled, and was doing the recording, and she was doing sometimes makeup, recording, but it was kind of a joke on set that she could do everything, and we're all useless.
Yeah, we're missing some people due to sickness, and Tabia was the first to get the question, "Can you do it?" And she said, "Always yes. Tell me how," and then she did.
That is amazing. That's incredible. Okay, Carsten, will you pick a number 1 to 10?
Sure. I go with number 3.
Okay. Number 3 has us in the Testify section. So the question I have for you, can you describe a time when you saw kindness or faith in action during your time in Manila?
Oh, absolutely. Of course, there are probably several, but what really would stand out is I think the work that we don't do alone. We always do it in partnership with others, and we always need people to bring situations of kids suffering to our awareness. And in fact, there's this person on Testify. Her name is Connie Season. She's actually one of the person who's giving an interview. And she herself, with a friend together, they actually found a child on the street and brought it to our care. And if it wouldn't have been for her and her friend to actually be touched and moved at that moment, that child probably would not have been rescued. And it resonates to the story of the Bible where the, Good Samaritan comes along and there's somebody needing help. A lot of people pass by. Probably on that night, a lot of people pass by that one kid suffering on the street, left alone, abandoned. But those two people that didn't need it to act, but they did act. They walked this journey. They walked this path. They saw it, and they said, "We got to do something." And they actually acted. And through their acts of love and kindness, this child was rescued and was able to be brought to our center. So that's a good example of it. Always needs the action of one individual to make a difference in the life of somebody else. And her and her friend, out of an act of kindness, they saw that little kid on the street and they were moved and they were touched. And they said, we can't just leave it with being touched and being moved. Because that's one thing. A lot of people are being touched, they're being moved. Then often it ends up, well, there's nothing I can do about it. And then turn away and move on. But they actually were not just moved and touched, but they said, you know what? We got to set aside whatever we do right now, and we got to act, we got to take care of this child on the street. And so they became active, and they worked through the entire night together with other people, with the government, trying to get the police and trying to get the social services, and they didn't want it to move, they didn't want it to act, and they pushed. And at the end, through the entire night, they set aside their agendas and focused on that one kid, which at the end of that night ended up in our care, and life was changed. And that's not just one story that's unheard, but actually she was right there and shared her own story, although probably she didn't mention that, but because she was on the set. So Connie is actually a wonderful person who, through an act of kindness with her and her friend, rescued another child. So again, it shows it's not just me, it's not just Vision Help, but there are a lot of people, because of being moved and because of kindness, they make a difference in the lives of people. And that's really what at the end makes a difference. Not just our organization, but many, many people who don't look away, who act, and who would choose to not just be moved, but actually become physically active. And that changes truly life. So that's probably what I would give as an answer to that question.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, our last question is a little lighthearted. It's actually a question for all of you, and it comes from our audience. They wanted us to ask you this question. So that's where it came from. They want to know, what is a Filipino snack or a treat that you tried that you'll never forget, whether it was really yummy or just very interesting? Does anyone have a snack or a treat that they tried?
Did we have some strange food, Christian, Tabea? I'm not sure.
We had some pretty good food. I mean, you remember
the fruits.
The mango juice, and then Lucas brought the watermelon juice, and I thought, okay, this could be something for my normal morning, even before having coffee, because this was like biting into a mango, but it's it's something to drink, you know. Wow. I don't know how they make it, but that was for me like I could drink it every day, you know. Wow. And we ordered it pretty much every day, you know.
That's awesome.
Carsten, what is I think you have to answer that, because you lived there, because we had lots of those amazing fruits, but I mean, the real crazy stuff, maybe Carsten, you did that during your...
Well, of course, street food is, anywhere in Asia, street food always stands out. There's a lot of street food in Asia, and Manila itself, of course, has its own street food, and some of it is pretty yummy, and others is pretty challenging. But again, it always depends on the eyes and of the taste bud, right, of the person. Right. But of course, balut is probably the most famous Filipino street food that is really a delicacy for a lot of people. I tried it. It's basically an embryo on an egg, a duck egg embryo that is being boiled. He opened the egg and there's this duck embryo in it, cooked, and then you got to eat it. It's politely said, it's really a challenge. I ate it once, and I never ate it again.
That's fair.
I had to try. So that's probably one of the most challenging things I've eaten.
I have to add something on the food, because we when we were in the village, they have this everywhere they had, we received very good food, but in the village they have this amazing cook. She cooks there with I think these two girls that help, and we have always, it was not so much like the food was always great, but then everybody came to the big table, and we ate together, just the people who worked there, and then watching also the children coming with the big pots coming, and then they got the food and they were with the families in the houses. That I'm not sure if you see it. I think you see it in the documentary, but that was also special. So it's not just about maybe the Filipino treats, but it was super good foods that we had on site when we were filming, and the community when we were eating.
I love that. Just everyone coming together. That's awesome. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for sharing your insights and for playing along with the game. And Carsten, I'll start with you. What does it mean to you to know that your story has and will continue to resonate with audiences all over?
Well, knowing that my story has and will resonate with people really is very humbling, but also very encouraging experience. My journey really obviously also, I guess, a testimony of faith, commitment to help those in need, and to be part of something inspiring, which I really hope this really will be. It's just amazing, and it's somehow like I'm there to help kids to find hope. And now having this film being broadcast around the world, people seeing it and being inspired by it, and maybe somehow it will resonate to their life, and hopefully maybe produce something in them, makes suddenly what I do even much greater than what I ever thought it would be, because now people who actually see this film have an opportunity to be inspired and hopefully maybe make in their own choices, maybe that would at certain moments begin to be a life changer for somebody else, because they themselves allow themselves to be encouraged. And now, because of what others do, help, hope, faith is extended to a much more broader environment in different areas of life, different even continents that I would never have ever thought would be possible. And who knows, maybe by somebody seeing this film, like when I was a kid, I was inspired by other people who had used their life to change other lives. And maybe my story now becomes an encouragement to them, where because of maybe they see what I do or what we do, makes them make conscious choices in their life, which might change the lives of many others. And to be part of that is just a very humbling, but also an amazing experience to think about. I guess just to believe that others are inspired, hopefully, and they become life and history makers, maybe themselves. It's just the ripple effect. Suddenly, you put one drop in an ocean, and there are these waves that have these ripple effects. And maybe I might be long gone. Who knows what could come out because people have seen that video, that movie. It's just amazing to think about what could happen. So that's just what I'm thinking about.
I love that. Christian, is there anything that you're hoping that people will take away from the film?
That's so deep and meaningful, and so from the bottom of his heart at the movie. And I think we are all history makers, in a small and a medium or on a big or an XL size like Carsten. And we have, we have all opportunities, but we have the same calling, to make a difference in our surroundings. And that's pretty much the heart of Testify. This is just one story, and I hope the audience is interested in more stories. So, but the heart is of their comfort zone to put their faith into practice, because you can make faith visible then, and that's what Carsten did. That's why we are all on board on this project, and maybe have a follow up in a series, but this is something for the future. And I think also for the angel audience specifically, this community already understands the power of storytelling to amplify light, right? That's also why we choose Angel Studios to launch this film globally. The audience doesn't just watch some sort of stories, but they look for purpose, inspiration, and for ways to be part of something bigger. And they can be with this one or different or many others on this platform. So for me or for us, as I can speak for the team and Carsten as well, it's pretty honoring to be here. And I'm so excited what comes next and what happens here on Angel Studios.
Oh, that's amazing. Alexander, is there anything that, like a personal lesson or anything that you took away from working on this project?
So I think filming this story and doing Testify also remind me that the stories they don't belong to us filmmakers. There's something we entrusted with. So Carsten entrusted us with his story and the sense of responsibility that really should shape how we tell the stories. And we try to do that with care, respect, and the desire to let the people speak for themselves. And it lines up what Christian and Carsten said. Watching someone live out their calling as Carsten did with such clarity and conviction, that made me ask myself, what am I called to? And what am I willing to sacrifice for something bigger than myself? And so this project told me a lot, and not just as a filmmaker, but also as a person. I hope that the audience who's watching that project will, So I hope that Testify will help them to ask that questions for themselves.
Tavia, did you have any personal lessons yourself that you took away from working on this project?
I did. I think it's, I think we planned it all out and but it's only, we can bring the best to the table, but then God uses it and orchestrates it. And I think I can say from my heart and from being with the team that I felt such a favor from God, like just opening doors where they should have been closed, or just how things came together in Manila when we filmed. The weather was always good. Then on the last day it rained, and I think we had once rain, but that was it. And all the things, everything came together very well. Also how the team met, how the team was put together. We are from different cities. I haven't met Christian in 10 years. And so I think God is orchestrating the things. And if we trust and go like Carsten did, I mean, to me, he's just a really big role model, because how often do we think this is too big for me, or what difference does it make? And to me, it really does inspire me, and it helps me think, okay, so if I help that one person, or if I do that with my neighbor, then it can make a huge impact. And so, yeah, I learned a lot, and I'm taking that, and it's like something that will last forever. I think that's been put in my heart during that time in the Philippines.
Oh.
And if I can add this, that's also everything part of our calculation and planning, to have a God factor in our calculations, so that we give it up to him at the end, nevertheless, how big it is, our plans and ideas. So, and if it works out at the end, so that we can't say it was us, but it was him making it possible, and all that we're doing here, or that I am doing here with this project, with the team together, from my perspective, and I really do, because to point out to him with people we portray, and I think it's a pretty practical way to do that. But at the managing even the weather, that was pretty crazy, because our day we all left Manila, it was rain for 1 week, and we were always filming outside. So,
oh my goodness,
that was amazing. And God opened doors. Sometimes he's closing doors, but this one was open. Also on angels, through the angel guild. So again, thanks to everyone on this part. We are pretty excited to what's next.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see where it goes, and to start hearing from our guild members and others about their experiences and their feelings when they watch this film. I can't wait to hear from the audience and hear how they're impacted. You guys made such a beautiful documentary, and Carsten, your story is so incredible. I appreciate that you were willing to share that, and that you guys were able and willing to bring it to the screen so that other people can be inspired by it as well. So, I mean, I can tell it was a lot of hard work to pull it together, and it's just been incredible to hear about all of your individual faith through this journey, and I appreciate you being willing to share that. Carsten, Carsten, kind of a final question I have would just be, for any of our viewers tonight that are on here with us, who may feel called to help others but aren't sure maybe how to act, do you have any advice for them, or is there any way those people can get involved with Vision?
There are always opportunities where we can make a difference. It begins right at our own environment, wherever we are. There are always opportunities. I believe that if we walk with and move and be moved and make a difference, but also by simple steps, exactly, maybe partnering with, for example, with Vision Help, helping to help us to send kids, helping kids to get operations that are needed, empowering us to send kids to school because of the support maybe people make available for the educational journeys that really are needed. And only education makes a difference, and that's not free, it's expensive. Taking kids into our center costs. We need counselors, supporters who are there every day, 24 hours, 7 days a week, guardians, teachers at our school. All of that has of course some financial commitments on our part, and we are a complete faith-based organization. We survive, we live, we do what we do by the kind-hearted, supportive people. So people may not always have the opportunity to become missionaries, to go abroad, or maybe to do something with an impacting, lasting effect, maybe in their own environment. But everybody can, in a very little small way, to be a part. And if people are interested, hey, they can go to our website. Everything is there. It's very easy. People can support with a very small amount our organization, our feeding programs, our medical interventions. It does make a difference. So if people want to do that, or they even come by and visit us. We have a lot of people from all around the world who come over, work with us, sometimes spend a few weeks, a few months. Some even come and spend a whole year with us. Some have come as a volunteer and have never left. We have some people that have become full-time staff at Vision Help because they came as a volunteer, wanted to see what we do, and are permanent staff in our organization will, I'm sure, change their life as well. And so can, in that way, they can become ambassadors if they go back home, for example. So there are a lot of ways. To the www.vhicf.org. That's where it starts.
That's amazing. We'll throw the link up so that you guys can see that
Perfect.
too. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that. I'm sure that there will be people that watch this and then feel called to be involved. So I'm excited to hear this way that they can do that. So thank you again so much for joining me today, and joining us and our Angel audience that's online with us. Thank you for being here. For audiences everywhere. So I'm just so excited. Everybody needs to go watch it. And I don't know. I'm like, go see it. It's the best. So thank you guys for joining. It was such a pleasure for joining us tonight. This has been such a wonderful evening. And thank you again to Carsten, Christian, Alexander, Lucas, and Tabea for sharing their experiences with us tonight. If you feel called to help or to get involved, again, you can check out www.vhicf.org to learn more about the Vision Help International Care Foundation. Their Instagram is also linked. I'll link that here as well so you can see that. And then their Instagram is also on the screen so you can follow along their filmmaking journey. As a reminder, you can now watch exclusively on Angel today. You can do that by going to angel.com/testify guild. And thank you again to the Angel Guild for bringing another film that amplifies light. Keep an eye out on Angel socials for more info coming soon about upcoming Angel Guild releases. Like we said earlier, we are dropping so many releases right now. It is amazing to see. Thank you again to the Angel Guild for helping make that happen. Thank you for joining me tonight. This has been, again, a wonderful evening. I always enjoy an evening spent with you guys. Have a wonderful night, everybody.
Dieses This desire came over me one day. God, what do you want me to do with my life? God gave me a very clear call to Manila that night. Children are abandoned and thrown away into the garbage. The abuse of children, exploitation of children. The only emotion I feel is almost anger and hate against this injustice. Carsten went to Manila empty-handed. Today, he has one of the biggest NGOs in Manila. We build houses without having a single penny to pay for them.
My name is Ruby and I grew up in Tondo.
It's really hard to grow up in that kind of place because that place is quite dangerous.
I've never seen any orphanage as nice, as well kept as Vision Health.
It's probably the biggest crisis of my life. I know I can't help all these children. What he invested is his whole life.
He was the one who gave us that kind of opportunity to call him Papa.
Now streaming on Angel.
What would the world be like without a protective structure? We would be in a world without rules. I know I can't help all these children. But you can't ignore the suffering. It is still there.
Carsten is full of life.
I see that he's really hard for the kids. So every time he sees kids, he's really smiling.
He was the one who gave us that kind of opportunity to call him Papa.
What he has invested is his whole life. Carsten went to the Philippines as a young adult. It is quite incredible what has been achieved in just about 30 years. I grew up in Gotha in Thuringia, East Germany. At that time, it was still the GDR. I come from a family with a total of 5 children. I have 4 siblings, 2 sisters, and 2 brothers. As a child, I was never quiet and couldn't sit still. I was always running around the house wildly while making noise and probably dressed up as Winnetou and Old Shatterhand with a bow and arrow jumping through the garden. At least, that's what they say about me. My mother was a housewife, and my father was a pastor. Around who had problems or needs. It was 1992. I was sitting in the kitchen at my parents' house after a church evening. And all of a sudden, that evening, I had this desire in my heart that made me say, God, what do you want me to do with my life? Then I passed that on to him over the kitchen table, and I said, God, I'm ready to do anything you want me to do. And I never had something like that again in my life. This encounter with God. God gave me a very clear call to Manila that night. Like a very clear message at that moment. I want you to go to Manila and show the love of God to the people and children from the slums. For me, that was a supernatural encounter with God. To describe how I felt when I first came to Manila is almost impossible to put into words. Here comes a little boy from Gotha in East Germany who has not seen much in his entire life. From a small town, coming to a metropolis of 25 million people, where everything is different. I flew to Manila for the first time when I was 17. Everything was different. I felt like I was on a foreign planet. Which one? You and? Nearby the bridge. Nearby the bridge, by the Smoky Mountain. Do you know where that is? Okay. I was so overwhelmed by everything I saw. I didn't dare to leave my room for 3 days. Manila was once described by a writer as the forecourt of hell. Children who are simply thrown away in the garbage dump. child abuse, exploitation of children. It's dirty, it's messy.
We live in a third world country, so obviously it's poverty that's always the biggest challenge. 16.7% of our people actually live below poverty line. And when we say below poverty line, it's those people who can't actually have access to food every day.
We see in countries, especially in the Philippines, that the gap between rich and poor is incredibly wide. In the slums, people are really struggling to survive. And just 5 to 6 kilometers away, others are living in incredible prosperity.
It's amazing how a man where he is actually living comfortably would come here to a third world country and give up all his privileges of living a comfortable life just so that he can help our children here and communities who are suffering. Carsten is a committed man. He has a big heart.
Carsten is a go-getter. Carsten is the kind of person who, when faced with a closed door, becomes even more determined to do whatever it takes to open it.
At least that, I mean, look at, what about him? Look at him. He's someone there. He's probably a TB boy. He probably has tuberculosis. So why is he not in our center?
Kuya, the problem is the parents.
So who are the parents?
Who is the mother of this child? The grandmother's relative.
So his mom went to the Jensen. The grandmom is downstairs in the permanent housing.
So the boy is left behind during the day?
Yeah, if nobody can take care of him, he's alone. Because of the Lola is our scavenger. So they are lazy to bring the boy because the parents they do the job like scavenging. They cannot do the scavenging because they don't have a food to eat.
I understand that. I understand that. But our daycare is just just there. Maybe maybe if she has some time or some others, to gather the children that are like that, malnourished. Even though it's 3, 4, 5, bring them down. Then we eat all together, and then she can have food, and her children can have food, and we'll all eat together. And then they go back up again, and they take a shower, and then we can check for TB. That's why the daycare is right there. Or you yourself come here and pick up the children. It's just a few minutes.
So, I wouldn't say I'm a very loving person. I'm much too impulsive, much too critical, and maybe also much too insensitive. But I think the crucial point is that as a person who loves Jesus, I discover that because I love Jesus, I'm able to be a person who develops empathy. I get to be someone who becomes sensitive to the suffering of others. You suffer with the children to a certain extent because you think about your own. Those could have been my own children. And to be honest, I also feel a sense of resignation because the feeling of being overwhelmed still touches my heart, even after all these years. Because what I do remains to be just a drop in the ocean. I can't help all the children. This is sad to realize. It's a feeling of helplessness.
We hope you enjoyed that sneak peek. To continue watching the full movie and gain VIP access, a group of hundreds, if not release of more projects. Our goal is to reach 1 million members in the Angel Guild. This will allow us to fund up to 5 seasons of TV shows like the Wingfeather Saga, Tuttle Twins, and others on a continual basis. In addition, your Angel Guild membership also grants you bonuses and perks that we are constantly adding to. Perks like complimentary movie tickets to every new Angel release in theaters, Guild early access to film and TV shows before they're made free to watch, opportunities to give your feedback to filmmakers, Guild exclusive live streams, discounts on Angel merch, and so much more. Join the Angel Guild today and help us make movies that matter to our children, our families, and the world. Welcome to the future of entertainment.